What's up, Starcraft fans? They were doing the tier list for Overclocked on Mal Warfare. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Mal Warfare is the map where we have to escort Orana's transport as it purifies security terminals from a rogue AI. We win the game if she purifies all 5 terminals, but we lose if the enemies or suppression towers destroy the transport. Enemies move really fast and become stronger when their friends fall. Their buildings shoot back.
Alright, so we have Pidgeot and Edpunham with the call with us today. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Doing well.
Good. Nice to see everyone again.
Alright, we're all doing good except me. I'm only doing fine because I still have that annoying cough. Apparently, I went to the doctor. He said it's some sort of post-nasal drip. I still don't fully understand it, but apparently I'm not dying, so that's good enough for me. So, Pidgeot, how do we rank the commanders this week?
Well, as long as you're not dying, then I guess we can continue. That's the important part.
That's the important
yeah.
part.
So when I'm thinking about, when I'm thinking about this mutation, thankfully it's not as challenging as some of the most recent ones. So a little bit of a break there. However, there's just a few things to consider. It's who can really deal with this map mobility, just because you're gonna have to be moving around fast with speed freaks, whether that be with just vision or some being able to transport or whatever. Who can push without photon overload really being that issue, including the towers. So we just need to keep in mind that the towers themselves around Arana will activate photon overload as well. And who can kill the units fast enough or ignore their armor just to really deal with Avenger through just high damage sustain, things like that. And I think if you're able to deal with all 3 of those things, you'll do quite well. And if not, then you just won't. So that's how I see it this week.
What do you think, Edpunham?
Yeah, this mutation is a lot about just how powerful the commander is, but it's also a decent skill check in terms of can you just target down the big guys before they become, ginormous guys. If you just
Ginormous.
move through things, then you're going to deal with massive hybrid dominators and whatnot, and you're going to have a much tougher time than if you target them down first. So that, and then also how well can you actually react to things like speed freaks, just keeping in mind certain attack waves, like when you're on the, I guess, technically 4th Arana location, there's the attack wave that spawns in the top going to your main base. So as long as you're ready to deal with that, you'll be fine.
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur is relatively easy this week. You get out your ultimate evolutions, couple queens, couple vipers. Those will deal with the first 2 locations you have to worry about quite handily, and then from there you can just go into really anything, but I would say probably the best is mass swarm host. You don't really care about how big the enemies get if you just have a never-ending flood of locusts going at everyone. It is a bit more of a pain than certain other commanders. A lot of other commanders this week in S tier are kind of a walk in the park, where this is like a walk in the park while you're walking a rabid dog. So I had him in A tier for that reason, just because it is a little more tenuous than certain other commanders.
A tier, apparently a rabbit dog. Oh, rabid dog. Okay, I thought you said rabbit dog. I was like, what? Anyway, what do you think?
Rabbit dog.
The newest superhero. What do you think, Pidgeot?
Yeah, I like Abathur and most things you said there.
I thought you were going to say you like rabbit dogs, but sure, go ahead.
I love dogs, and there are no bad dogs, just bad owners. But in this case, I
True.
would say that Abathur, as much as I like him, there's the challenge this week is really if you get your early game going, the rest of the map really becomes quite easy. And I think where Abathur usually is able to pull some things for some early essence, you have a bit more trouble given this mutation. And the one thing with early swarm hosts is they will trigger the building's photon overload, so it'll just become a bit more of a challenge. So I actually had him at B, and I was even considering C, but I do see him more as a B tier than I do as an A tier, just because of the way I have the others listed above him. I feel that B just felt more fitting for him.
What do you think about B tier, Edpunham?
I don't know. I didn't have much trouble with even with Avenger, especially if you do your toxic nest correctly. You kill them all in one fell swoop, and you aren't actually having to deal with powered up units, really. Maybe like one, but you should have enough toxic nest. I didn't have any trouble with the early game. It was more the late game of just like making sure that your swarm hosts don't get jumped on top of with speed freaks, was the only real issues I ever ran into. But it was a pretty easy time. Like I was contemplating S tier. I really don't think he's
Oh,
B tier
really?
compared to some of the other commanders. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Maybe just be a better player than I am, because when I'm seeing him, I am seeing like a bit of at least in the theory craft, and even just when I try to myself, I did see him with the early game just struggling a bit, which just made him seem a little weaker than the others. I could see A, definitely not S. I can see A, but of course, as we get to like the refinement, that we can definitely see where he is in that tier. So I'm comfortable with A, but personally do see B as more fitting.
Okay, if you're comfortable with A, that's where we'll put him. Abathur goes in A
Yeah.
tier. Prestige wise, second one.
Yeah, that's what I did. You could go 0 as well, I suppose. You want the ultimate evolution, so I wouldn't go P1.
All right,
Yeah.
moving on.
I agree.
Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak's a fun one. So I actually put him in A tier, so A for Alarak. And the reason I did that is he has all the tools. Just the one thing that prevented him from going to S is if it goes wrong, it can go wrong fast, just being Alarak, where as a glass cannon, if you do somehow lose all your units, it's just going to take a bit to get back there. But he does have the tools in terms of being able to put a turret or war prism. If you really want to use it as like a defensive mechanism for the vessel, you can also put some turrets. Not that I would recommend that. He also has the ability to really shoot down with his Wraith Walkers if you wanted to put in a few of those, just to really pummel down the towers as they come up, because his DPS is quite high. And of course, personally, I do like using P3 just because that does, again, allow you to just push a lot faster. It also gives you with the mothership the ability to teleport around just in case you need to teleport back to base if you're just not paying attention, for example, which I ask me how I know.
You
So
can
just being able
overcharge.
to have that mobility. You can overcharge as well, but that gives you now like multiple options, and I think that's what makes him stronger. So you have the ability to overcharge if it's a smaller wave, if you do need a big wave, and then you have your War Prism to defend Arana in the meantime. So I do see him having all the tools he needs to do quite well in this mutation.
Letter.
I gave him an A.
Okay. What do you think, Edmund?
Yeah, I think he's pretty good here. He's definitely not S tier. You have relatively good tools. For me, it's more getting to those tools. You do have Mama for the early game, and you do very easily in the early game with Alarak and Mama. Past that, getting to the transition of actually having like an army that's powerful can be a little hairy, but once you get past that, I think he's quite good. I would probably recommend Descendants, but you can't go like Wrathwalkers. Obviously, you want a lot of Supplicants, and it shouldn't be too hard of a time. So I had him in A tier as well.
All right, we have a convergence. No. An agreement. Alarak goes in A tier. Third prestige, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Arcturus, where do we have him?
Oh, I see. He's in the wrong spot. Okay, I was thrown off for a second there. I'm like, that's not Arcturus on the left.
It's like I had Artanis.
Yeah, Arcturus is very good. He has good clearing power. He has ESOs, which don't care about how powerful the guys get. Generally speaking, it'll just kill them over time anyways. Very good for forward clearing. Bunkers are excellent. Dogs of War are good for clearing out a suppression tower if you need it. He's got big beefy units like his battle cruisers to deal with any overpowered hybrid you might have to deal with. So he's a very easy breezy time this week, I'd say. I had him in S tier.
What do you think,
Yeah.
PJot?
I was debating between S and A just because of those I have in S are quite strong this week, and the main reason one thing I'd also want to call up for Minsk is with his ESOs, and I think you mentioned this as well, is I wouldn't necessarily use him to just defend Arana, although you can definitely if you need to in a struggle situation. But you can definitely use it to forward clear, so you don't have to deal with photon overload, as you said. So you just use it to like clear the next section, and then you can have your bunkers and some turrets or some spare units around the vessel if you don't want to like leave her just out in the open. And of course, you always have your top downs being Minsk. So he does have the tools he needs. He just needs a lot of more like micro than some of the commanders I had in S tier, which is why I had him like top of A, bottom of S. So he does have all the tools. It's just how comfortable are you using him? but he does do quite well naturally on this map, and the mutations this week don't affect him too much. It's just making sure you stay on top of it. So I am comfortable with S or top of A, so both are good for me.
Both of you have an S. Let's put him in S. How do you guys use Earth Splitters against a mutator like Speed Freaks?
It's for clearing
So-
almost purely. I'm not saying to go math
Yeah.
or splitter at all, but it's just so you don't have to worry about pushing through the enemy bases.
Mhm. Yeah, so my way to approach this when I tried it with Minsk was I would have some bunkers set up around Arano while like the ESOs are clearing, and also I can at the beginning, like where she first leaves, I can set up there, so that way you can reach around the entire map, and of course you can reconstruct later if you need to. But that way you'll have your bunkers around. I'm usually using P3 so that my guys can also deal with Avengers a lot more easily just by basically being sacrificial lambs.
This is
And
inhumane.
then I have the top downs in like an emergency situation, which hopefully I won't need too much, but I definitely do have that. And then I use the ESOs, as you mentioned, just to kind of push out in advance. So that way I'm just pushing out just to clear the area before we get there, and then you just stay ahead of Verana.
I feel like it's not as simple as you guys make it sound, because there are a lot of things you have to mind with Arcturus. You have to mind your macro. You have to mind you have to mind expanding
Yeah.
first, because I'm not sure if one bunker is enough
Yes.
to clear out the expansion with everything going on. You have to get upgrades. You have to
Yeah.
you have to tech up. Are you sure S is
That's-
where he deserves to be? Just putting it up, because
That's where I had him at the border, where he does have the tools if you're playing him quite well. My only concern is if you're not as comfortable with him, I see him more as A. If you're very good at co-op and you're good with the micro and just the build awareness with Minsk, yeah, I can see him as S, but it is a player dependent S. So that's where I had him kind of at the border there.
interesting. All right, both of you have him in S. Let's put him in S. Moving on. Artanis, where do we have him?
Yeah, so for Artanis, he was my first struggle character of the week. I personally put him in D tier, and the reason was he just struggles with a lot of this. Like he does have the Guardian Shell that helps in terms of just lasting long enough to get rid of the Avenger waves, depending on the prestige you're using, of course. He has some mobility, albeit it's not great. But the main thing is, again, for me, it's really about the early game and can you recover if things go wrong, which they can with Avengers and Speed Freak. So all of his builds really, once if you like lose your military, it takes him a bit of time to recover compared to a lot of the other commanders. He can definitely do the map because you are dependent on like good map knowledge, but you're also dependent on energy, which he doesn't have a good way to bring back. And it's hard to really push early into this compared to the other commanders. So for me, again, can he do it? Sure. If you have a choice, would I use Artanis? Probably not. So he does struggle with his options this week. So personally, I had him in D tier.
D tier. What do you think, Eppenholm?
Yeah, I think it's a tough week for Artanis. His big saving grace is that Dragoons are long-range units that do pretty good single-target damage, so you are able to target down things like hybrid dominators and whatnot, and hopefully not have to deal with uber-powered hybrid. That is where the good things somewhat end. You do have shield overcharge, which is good. I would say you probably want to go P3, so you're not going to have Guardian Shell, but
Yep.
you do have the Archons in that case, which are decent. I didn't quite have him in D tier. I did have him in C, but I could definitely go for a good D tier for Artanis.
All right, both of you have him in D tier. That's unanimous. D tier it is. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Finally, someone CTG's not going to question me for putting an S. Dehaka is really, really good. He might be, at least for me in my experience, the easiest commander this week. You have pack leaders, you have Dehaka himself, you have really whatever comp you want to go for depending on what the enemy has. I went Mutalist because I was against air, and it was incredibly easy. Completely just walked through the park, no trouble at all. Could have done the bonuses if I cared to take that bonuses. And
Imagine caring
yeah,
about the
it was pretty-
bonuses.
Yeah, I could never. So yeah, S tier for me.
What do you think, Pijayot?
I personally have him in A tier, but I can be convinced to S. So the reason I add him in A tier is he does have all the tools, and he does have the mobility and worms and things to get around, like provide vision and deal with speed freaks. So that's not an issue for him.
Did you
And
say
of course, with
worms?
his like his worms just for like vision. If you just need like a last minute, hey, I just need some vision somewhere.
Primal worms. I thought you said
I've-
Omega worms. Dehaka with Omega worms would be
Oh no, prime
S tier, S double
Yeah.
S tier. My Donnie.
Quadruple S if not. But yeah, no, he has the pack leaders that really don't care about the mutators. Like they can just push through it or just not notice them at all. So he is quite strong there. The only thing I would add as well to what you said is with his swarm host, unlike Abathur's, for example, I do see his as much stronger because they just go boom as opposed to Abathur's and he actually attacks. So photon overload doesn't even bother them. That's actually one of the reasons why I had Abathur in B and I had Dehaka in A, where I had them split up there because I do see Dehaka as just a tier above. Um, so he does have everything he needs, so I can see why he's S. I just see the ones that I
He's
currently have in
what?
S as much stronger.
He's what?
I'm saying I can see why he's seen as an S tier.
Oh, S. I thought you meant a totally different word. Okay, please continue.
Oh, I do think it's it. Yeah, so I do see him as quite a strong character with all the tools to deal with it. So yeah, I can justify an S. I can go with that.
Okay, both of you agree with S tier. Let's put Dehaka in S tier. I'm not questioning it this time because it's close enough. Moving on, Phoenix.
Yeah, like he's very close.
Phoenix, where do you have him?
Yeah, Phoenix. I did enjoy Phoenix. He has the similar to a lot of the others this week. He does has a tool, but he struggles with the early if his cooldowns aren't available. Assuming if you're using like P1 for example, or what I would say like P2 is probably a bit better in this case. He also has the cannons to hold. Of course, he doesn't have the strongest cannons in the world, but honestly, you don't need them that long because you can teleport around. So he does have mobility. So that's where he does have the ability to deal with that as well. And the cool thing with him is you can have like a shell army close to Rana or like in between the objectives, just so that you have your army there, and then you can take your champion shells and move them around if you would like to play that way. So you can push while defending at the same time. However, it's not really strong compared to some of the other commanders in each of those. So can he do everything? Sure. Does he do anything well? No. It's more of a jack of all trades kind of thing. And of course, as you build up, you'll be able to push faster like everyone else. So he does have a lot, just doesn't do anything really well. So I had him in B tier.
What do you think about B tier, Ebenholm?
Yeah, I think he is all right. The other big concern with like P2 is you have to be pretty careful with your shell farm because if double speed enemies or quadruple speed enemies get on top of your shell farm, they'll rip them apart pretty quick. So you have to be very
Yes.
cognizant of the attack waves and things like that. And things could go south pretty quick if that does happen. Beyond that, I think he does pretty well. I had him in A tier, but I'm perfectly fine with B tier as well.
Yeah, both of you had him in B tier, and A is not actually A is where the previous tier list had him. So B tier is not too far off. So yeah, we'll put him in B tier because you both agreed, and that's all it needs. Oh, B tier. There we go. Moving on. Oh wait, Prestige Y second one, right?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Han and Horner. Where do we have him?
Han and Horner is another one that's a little tougher this week. I think they're slightly better than Artanis. They don't have the same top bars, but if you go P2 and get out battle cruisers, they're quite chunky and they will do decently well. The main problem is like having some kind of ground force, probably some Hellbats, depending on the comp you're up against. You don't want to have like Zerglings and Zealots just ripping apart the ship while your battle cruisers sit above them, slowly killing them. That said, it's better than Artanis. It's not that much better, in my opinion. I had them in C tier.
C tier. What do you think, PJut?
Yeah. To add to that, I do have them in C tier as well, so I know we'll agree on that. The two things I would call out when you're playing Han and Horner, though, is she does have some tools that can help depending on the comp, but it can also go very wrong. So, for example, you can use mag mines to defend either your base or on a whatever the case may be. However, if you kill some of the units, not all, and you have nothing else there, you can accidentally create a very strong Avenger without meaning to. And of course, using her Widow Mines and Hellbats help really just kind of clear out the units by going boom. So they're quite good in some pushing at least. So she does have the tools, and of course you can use your strike fighters to try to push a little bit in advance if you're having issues with photon overload, so you can get rid of some of the buildings before you get there with the kind of the same logic as Phoenix, but Phoenix doing better in every way, but not as bad as Artanis. I do see her as C tier as well.
Okay, both of you had hot and Hornet C tier. That's where they will go. Prestige wise, second one or first one?
Second or first.
Yeah, I go for the chaotic power couple, more mag
First
mines,
one.
just to.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do that. Karax, where do we have him?
Yeah, excuse me. So Karax is a strong one for this week, and I love how you can. I was trying to think of which prestige I would recommend, and honestly, all of them kind of work because he can deal with the mutation in a few ways. You can really push with your turrets, which will allow you to defend, deal with speed freaks just by passively being there, and you don't have to worry about the spawn time being Karax, so you can push into other buildings without having to worry about that. You can use your top downs to pretty much avoid the mutation altogether. As long as you're comfortable just getting some vision, or even if you're depending a little bit on your teammate, which I never like to do for these types of lists. And of course, even if you wanted to go like with your military and A move, like he does have a strong army. However, I wouldn't recommend that one just because you have the your early game is a bit more important than normal in this case. However, he does have the tools to deal with everything. And I don't see him struggling at all this week. So I did have him as my probably weakest S tier, but I did have him as an S tier.
What do you think, Edwin Home? S tier.
Yeah, he's solid. My main complaint is, just like clearing is a bit more annoying than a lot of the other S tiers.
Mm-hmm.
That said, yeah, I'm fine with S. I had him in A because I put him about at the same level as Abathur.
If he has trouble with clearing, is he really S?
Well, it's not that you can't clear; it's just that it's more annoying than the other ones, right? Like Dehaka, just drop down to pack leader, area's cleared.
Exactly.
You don't
that's why Dehaka is an S.
enough.
Can Karax do that?
Yeah, I mean that's why I had him in A.
Right?
I'm comfortable putting him in A, to be honest. I had him very close on both for that exact reason. So I'm not like dead set on him being an S. So I'd actually be more comfortable moving him to A.
Let's do that.
Let us indeed do that. Let's put Karax in A tier.
Yeah, because he does have the ability just with his top downs, but again, it's not as easy as those S tiers. So for me, that is a good differentiator for him.
You just have to be airtight on your justification. Like, someone's going to be in the comments like, if he has trouble with pushing, why is he S tier? Whereas this commander is good at both, so why is it only in B tier? Well, so yeah. You just have to make sure you're justified. Anyway, both of you put him in A tier. Yeah. Let's put him in A tier. Prestige-wise, you said anyone?
I say you can do anyone. I would do P3. Personally.
Yeah, P3 is definitely best, but you could go any of them probably.
All right, let's go third one then. Moving on, Kerrigan. Where do we have him?
Kerrigan has the problem that she relies purely on Kerrigan, and if you do get like a superpowered Dominator or Behemoth or whatever, it's not going to be a good time. If you can get out a good army, she should be fine, but her armies are rarely really called good. Maybe like Mass Lurker Hydra is okay. Ultralisks are all right. Mutalisks, maybe depending on the enemy comp you're up against, but you got to be pretty careful with the hybrid dominators on the field and things like that. So she's okay. I don't think she's bad like Artanis, and I think she's probably even a little bit better than C tier. I had her in B.
B tier. What do you think, PJot?
I think that's one where we might differ a little bit. I was borderline gonna put her on S. I currently have her in A. Because she has the tools really to deal with everything. So Kerrigan's early game just makes the map trivial, and then by the time you have your worms up, you can use it to tank, slow down speed freaks just by the fact that they're existing, so they have to deal with your worms. Gives you the mobility around the entire map. Once you do get your army going, although I agree her army isn't necessarily the strongest thing to write home about, but it's still able to deal with the majority, if not all, of the comps as long as you put in the Hydralisk that you need. I guess you could do Mutalisk, but in this case, I would probably leverage a ground army. And then if you're versing a ground army, her Ultralisk and Lings can get pumped out and just deal with everything quite easily. And they also have the ability, being just Lings and Ultras, to just push through Photon Overload, and especially with the worms, you'll get a good surround really fast. So for me, she had the ability to deal with every one of the mutators without a problem. But also, given that our army isn't the strongest and you want to push as fast as you can, Kerrigan wasn't enough for me to comfortably put her in S, but that's where I had her at the border. So I had her at a very strong A, in my opinion.
What do you think about A tier, Edwin Home?
I just worry about Sky Toss, super powered oracles and carriers and things like that. And it's like, Hydralisk against that? I don't know.
But you won't have too many carriers to deal with at once, so you'll have Kerrigan to just one-shot the carriers, and then you'll have the Hydralisk dealing with the other anti-air, if that is the comp that comes up. Not to mention, you do have the option of going Mutalisk, although I'm not as big of a fan on this map, but of course you can always use Mutalisk as well. But her Hydralisk should be more than enough to deal with the few stronger Sky Toss units that Kerrigan herself doesn't deal with. And most of the time, I'm going to be using Kerrigan to deal with the stronger Sky Toss units.
Okay, I'll go with A then. I haven't tested
Alright.
against Sky Toss myself. I'll buy it.
All right.
Yeah.
Kerrigan
Yeah.
in A tier. There we go.
A tier.
Yes.
Yep.
Moving on. Oh, prestige wise. I guess third one, so you can have stunts. Since her only use is air, so you want to have the. You can also do the second one.
Yeah, you can do 2 if you feel like it, but I would say 3 is a little better because it does give you the safety net against air with single targets. Because we were just chatting a little bit about some of the sky comps that you'll go up against that might give you some challenge. So P3 definitely works, and then also has a supportive aspect of giving you and your ally more minerals.
Okay.
And I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
Moving on. Nova. Where do we have him?
Last track, I think it's me, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah. So for Nova, I see her as another one that has all the tools this week to do well. So what's really nice, I personally like using P3 with her, and what I'll like doing is I can move Nova out in front of the army, so the army can stay. And similar to Phoenix, you just need to be careful that your army doesn't get run over. So if you're getting Liberators, tanks, like Ravens, things like that, just to defend the terminals and get rid of the the towers as they come up. Like, you can definitely use her army, while Nova goes out with super stealth to just get rid of all the buildings and the army just in advance. And of course, you can always bring her back if needed. I would always save the Griffin airstrikes for those larger attack waves as they come in, just because it'll help you just deal with them a lot more easily. And then, other than that, it's really business as usual for her. She has the defense ability. She has the shield whenever she's struggling with her army, so you can kind of keep her units alive more consistently. And she has the I messed up button, where if you do lose Nova for some reason, you just bring her back with some minerals. However, she doesn't push as well, or doesn't do as well as some of the others. I had an S tier, so I had her as a very strong A tier.
E tier?
Very strong A.
Oh,
like
A.
I was
Okay.
debating S.
Okay.
Very strong E here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very strong
Not
E.
quite
My
Very strong A
darling.
for me.
Okay. What do you think, Edwin Home?
So I know it's going to sound a little weird because I put Kerrigan in B for air comps, but I had Nova in S, and I know she does struggle with air comps as well. But I went up against the carrier air comp, and it was not too bad at all. I just went P3, like Pidgeot said, you clear forward with Nova, and then I had Mass Liberator, Raven, Hellbat, and Goliaths, and you can just right-click the capital ships with Goliaths, and they melt. You can also throw in a couple siege tanks for spider mines, and it was very, very easy. She's very good defensively, and then Nova herself can clear the entire map by herself, pretty much. So you have everything you need. And then obviously Liberators kill the suppression towers extremely easily. So I had her in S tier, actually. I think she was a lot easier than the A tiers that I played with. So
Okay. Both. Wait. Did you say S tier? Oh, he said strong A
I
I
tier.
said
had
F tier.
her. I had her as
He
like
said
Strong
top
A.
of A or in S as well. But honestly, given everything else, I'm comfortable having her in S as long as you're just making sure you use your top downs appropriately. Like yeah, I see her as an S character as well.
All right, that's fair. Put Nova in S tier then. Moving.
extremely blonde.
Extremely blonde commander. Moving on. Raynor. Where do we have him?
Raynor is like Arcturus, but worse in every possible way.
Yep.
He does have bunkers, he does have top bars, but they're just not as good. His Marines are way worse because they don't carry a nuke strapped to their hip, and he doesn't have as good capital ships or royal guard as they're called for Arcturus. So I had him significantly below Arcturus. If you can clear and set up bunkers and stuff, you'll be okay. But yeah, it's just like, why would you play him and not Arcturus? I guess if you don't own Arcturus, but he was given away for free once.
We're broke.
So you fool.
We don't play
I
Arcturus
had
because
him
we're
in C
broke.
tier. I had him in C tier. Yeah.
C tier. What do you think, PJot?
Oh, sorry. Did you say C or just I missed that part?
C. Yep.
I'm surprised you put him that high. I just
That's actually very generous.
in my notes. Yeah, I was about to say like that's super generous. I'm like in my notes. I just got a little chuckle. I just put just don't. Like I had him as as a little joke where I had him in his own little trash tier and F tier. I was like, there's nothing that he has this week that helps. Like his early game is in theory like one of his stronger suits, but it doesn't deal with this map. He can't push into the photon overloads. His defense isn't that great, especially against Avengers. He has struggled pushing out into this mutation specifically. So there was just nothing, like there wasn't really a saving grace I had outside of like his top downs to try to
You
kind
can
of justify using him
scan.
this week. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got the scan, which is really cool. And you can like steal your partner's minerals if you really want to, but it's I couldn't find a reason to use them, so I put him as like bottom on my list. I put him in F, just like I wouldn't even bother using him this week. If you're in free to play and you want to use him, like sure, go nuts. But I couldn't see
Oh, don't
any
put that
saving
on my
grace for Raynor
viewers.
this week.
You only play Raynor if
Yeah.
you are Lila. That's the only time
Yes.
you play Raynor.
Somehow make him work when it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, to me, I put him in like F tier, so I couldn't put him even above Artanis. It's just like night and day for me.
What do you think, Edmund, about F tier?
I don't think he's F because he's not hurting you. I think Spider Mines, if you're not against an air comp, I think Spider Mines are going to do quite well for defense. The actual towers, maybe not so much. The actual clearing, not so much. I'd be fine with E tier, I guess. Yeah, he's not great.
Okay. E tier it is. Are you okay with E tier?
I think it's generous, but sure.
I mean, you don't have
Yeah,
to be
he's,
okay because if it's not unanimous, it's not F. So it's gonna be E tier
Yeah,
regardless.
it's fine. Yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
He's very fine. E is very fine
But
indeed.
as long as we just know it, don't touch Raynor.
Don't touch Raynor.
So,
He's
yeah.
like he has age or something. Anyway, moving on to someone who is
Tychus
not
found out.
E tier. Stet boy, where do we have him?
Oh, S for Stetmann. I think this is definitely something that a mutation that he'll love. His like even when you think about something as basic as his Stedalites, one, they do everything you need this week. They heal you, they help you move fast, they let you teleport around. Not only that, like one of the little hidden things with it is they also distract the speed freak. So as they're coming in, they get distracted and they try to hit your satellites. So it's nice and convenient in that sense. So it just passively him existing helps a lot. Gary himself has the ability to deal with the attack waves like no issue. His units as well, like the hard shells for his ground units, like for his Zergling, sorry, make it so that they basically live forever with his healing zone, especially if it's overcharged. If you're dealing with sky units, like you have the answers with your corruptors if you need to go that route, and Gary himself. For me, Stetmann is a very strong S tier this week.
S tier. What do you think, Edmund Home?
Yeah, you have a lot of different comps you can go for, but I would say the best one is definitely Ling Ultra, and then you throw in Corruptors if you're up against an air comp, which obviously With my luck, I feel like I had almost only air comp when I was playing this. So he's very good against everything. Healing's great. Stat zones are awesome. You have recall around to deal with any speed freaks going to your base. You have plenty of DPS to deal with the suppression towers. You have infinite survivability with your Zerglings and your Ultralisks and even your Corruptors, really. So it's a very easy time. I had him in S tier.
All right, unanimous S tier. Let's put Stetboy in S tier. Moving on, Stukov. Where do we have him?
Stukov is pretty good. You can go P3. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief. You don't have to play anything else. So, thank goodness. And you can, spam bunkers. It's pretty easy to move your bunkers from the 3rd to the 4th terminal because you have that little shortcut through the middle. So you don't even have to go up and around with your bunkers or anything. As long as you're on top of dealing with any attack waves that do come to your main base, which only happen up until the 4th terminal, that one attack wave, really, then you're done worrying about defending your main base generally, and you can just pour infest it across the map. So it's not too bad of a time. I had him in S tier.
S tier. What do you think, PJ out?
Yeah, I think his P3 is the ideal one to use this week. If you really want, sure, go P1, have fun, but I don't recommend that. But Stukov does have the ability to, as the game gets going, keep the speed freaks at bay, eventually just pushes through everything. It just takes him a little longer than usual. The only reason I didn't have him in S tier, however, is his early game just isn't as strong. So Stukov does just take a little bit to get going. It's not too bad, and you can supplement with Marines early on. So he does have the tools he needs. I think just compared to those that I have in S tier, I think he has a lot going for him, but not everything. So I had him as A tier.
Are you okay with 8? Or are you? Do you have one last pitch for S tier at Winhelm, or is A tier fine for you?
Well, I don't know. It's just it feels like every few weeks we get to Stukov and someone's like, but his early game. And I'm like, Apocalypse and spawning broodlings and Alexander, and you don't really have a bad time in the early game. This map particularly is not a very difficult first terminal to defend, or second terminal, I guess. There's actually a first terminal in the main base.
I'm
Beyond
thinking
that,
more the third. Yeah.
the third terminal, I feel like you're online enough at that point, but maybe not.
Creep won't be there yet. Even
takes some time.
I played Stukov 3rd Prestige this week. I did manage to get creep just barely to the 3rd terminal, but that was because I was manually moving my overdudes and manually spreading creep the whole time, just to be able to get there in time, barely.
Yeah. You could try to build an extra base closer if you want to spread the creep, but it's
When I had an ally, I
a
was
bit more of a
definitely
challenge
relying
to
on my
push.
ally.
Yeah, you'd have to depend
Okay.
on them for that.
Yeah, that's fine then. We can go A tier.
All right. moving Stukov down to A tier. Prestige wise, that was still probably fine, but I would rather go for the first one, right? So I don't have to wait for bunkers.
I think you could go either. I prefer P1. I think it's more fun.
I do prefer P1.
And I mean, you have the Diamondbacks do really well with their slime trail for speed freaks, so it's definitely very viable. But if you are a P3 enjoyer, as so many are, I think you can do.
It's not it's not a significant downgrade, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I'd say
right.
both are doable.
Sure. First Prestige or third Prestige, both are A tier. Moving on, Swann. Where do we have him?
Swann's a fun one. So he can definitely defend. But the one thing I would want to call out is his laser does help, and if you're using P1 as a potential one, it helps negate a lot of the speed freaks, so you'll help slow them down, and you can use your factories if you're flying them around to help deal with that. Another fun thing you can do, although I wouldn't recommend it, is of course if you're trying to use cyclones and kite speed freaks with your laser, it's just a fun little mini game if you want to do that. His army is not the strongest, unfortunately. So if you're thinking of using Thors and Goliaths, things like that, they're not the strongest. His wraiths will have a bit of trouble pushing compared to a lot of commanders they'll have above him. So you are depending a bit more on your laser. And the beauty of Swann, at least, is he does have his turrets that will help defend. So he has a quite strong defense if you're moving it around with Arana, or even if you're at your base, if you need it for if you're having trouble with the attack waves. So he does have the tools he needs. He just doesn't necessarily excel as well as a lot of the other commanders. I did have him in B tier for those reasons.
Sorry, I stopped listening after Cyclones. What was that? B tier?
Yeah, I would recommend the Cyclones, but a fun little mini game if you want just for fun.
I just stopped. Wait, this guy literally unironically said Cyclones, and my brain just switched off.
I just like having fun with it, but it's not necessarily something I would recommend using. It's just have fun with it with Speed Freaks if you really want to, but wouldn't recommend by any means. But if you're using P1, it's just a fun little mini game. But definitely don't build them like seriously if you want to beat it, just more as a fun thing. But definitely wouldn't.
What do you think, Edmund?
Cyclones S tier. No, I think that the.
I agree.
I think you go
Straight to S tier.
You go Mass Wraith, you have a few Perdition turrets and things like that at the actual objective to help keep any ground off of it, and I think the Wraiths aren't actually going to do too bad at all. They're pretty quick, they are very good at targeting down single targets, so you're not too worried about like hybrid dominators and whatnot, as long as you're microing against the storms and whatnot. I had him in A tier, actually. I think, especially with like concentrated beam, you get enough concentrated beams, you're going to have like set 4 and 5 kind of cleared pretty heavily by the time you actually get there with that. And then you have your nuke as well. And the combat bots are great in the early game for buying time and killing things. So I had him in A tier. I think he's about on level with most of them in there.
What do you think about A tier? Vijayat.
I'm more comfortable with B, and I have similar reasoning and everything, except for the fact that everyone that we have in A tier right now, I feel is stronger. I seem closer to Phoenix than I do those in A tier. Personally, I'm more comfortable with B, but it is a close line. Yeah.
Okay. So what? A or B? What are we doing?
Let's go B. I mean, this is assuming you're not using Cyclones, so it's not S, and we'll go B.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Cyclones S. Other stuff.
We have to nerf
B.
ourselves somehow, you know.
All right, fine. Moving on. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus is Tychus. Oh wait, is it not me?
You can go ahead. Who cares?
Okay, I'm taking over. I think it is me. Tychus is Tychus, and there's nothing stopping him this week. No double edged, nothing like that. Black Death, none of the fun stuff. So it's a pretty easy week for him.
Yep.
For me, he was a little bit harder than Dehaka, because Dehaka you can kind of just drop Mervar and then look away for 60 seconds, and you look back and everything's dead. You do have to kind of micro your mercenaries to get things done, but you can get a lot done here. He has a couple fun tricks like Vega. You can mind control a particularly powerful Avenger unit, and it becomes yours, and now you don't have to deal with that anymore. So that's nice. Obviously, it doesn't keep the Avenger stacked. Sorry, everyone. Blizzard is lame. But beyond that, he's very, very good. So I had him in S tier.
What do you think, Pijayot?
Yeah, pretty much agree with all of that. He has no issues. He shreds armor for Avengers.
All right, easy S. Moving on. Oh wait, second prestige, right? Right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, obviously.
Moving on. Vorazun, where do we have him?
Yeah, Vorazun's one that she really struggles. I know we talked with air units, and I know we talked a bit about that in this video where her air units where air comps can be a bit more of a challenge. So with Vorazun, that's just amplified. Just trying to imagine her Corsairs trying to deal with some Avenger air units does become an issue. They kill like battle cruisers or even Void Rays if they get too big, as silly as that sounds, because they're usually not an issue. But Vorazun doesn't have a great answer to a lot of those air units. So you can use your Black Hole to kind of help mitigate that, but your energy supply will be impacted. She does have a bit of trouble pushing early on. So her her early game is going to give her another bit of a bit of trouble pushing. So I'm not a huge fan of her this week. So personally, I do have her in C tier as well.
What do you think about C tier? Edmund Home.
Yeah, it's a little tough for her this week. I think pushing shouldn't be too terribly bad because you play your 1 prestige and you use time stop and all of the DTs you get from it to clear each objective. The final set, you're not going to be able to, or final terminal, you're definitely not going to be able to clear everything in the 20 seconds, but you'll be able to clear a good chunk of it.
Yep.
Beyond that, yeah, the main army, if you're up against an air comp, it's really going to suck. If you're up against a ground comp, I think it's manageable. You have DTs, you can use your whatever the ability's called, Shadow Storm, Shadow Fury,
Shadow Fury.
and
Yeah.
clear out most things. So, and the DTs do shred the suppression tower pretty quickly, so that's always nice as well. Something where their auto attack actually does good for them. But yeah, I had them in C tier.
C tier. Okay, a unanimous C tier. That's where she ends up being. Vorazun and her 1 prestige end up in C tier.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Could definitely try to use Dark Archons and try to mind control some units, but even that just it hurts.
Add a note here.
You could-
Delete Pidgeot from the video for recommending. Kidding.
You add in some Cyclones to her comp, I think.
Oh yeah, let's add Cyclones there too. That'll be great. Tell me she doesn't. She doesn't use Cyclones. Come on.
Zagara.
Mind control them if you're up against the right comp, you know. Or
There you
actually,
go, just
no, there are no enemy
Take
comps
their
with
Cyclones and then bam.
Zagara. Where do we have him?
Zagara is not horribly great this week, but not terrible.
Yeah.
The Avenger units can be an issue for your Banelings. You know, you're going to use a lot more Banelings if you accidentally mass up a giant Leviathan or hybrid Behemoth or whatever it is. But if you're careful with your Banelings, that shouldn't be a huge issue. Zerglings can kind of burst those down. They shred armor, which is good. I think you could go P1 or P3 here. It is nice to have Zagara, but the extra Banelings and the extra supply will be nice as well.
Yeah.
You might run out of steam if you're not careful, and there is like the rallying back. You definitely want to add in some hatcheries on the 4th terminal area once you've got it cleared and taken care of so that your reinforced for the final terminal isn't too far away. Beyond that, she'll do all right. I had her in B tier.
You can also destroy the Baneling nest in your main base and rebuild it
Yes.
a lot further out.
Yep.
And
the Scourge Nest.
Scourge Nest too, yes, if you're going with first prestige. So what do you think about B tier, Pidgeot?
I don't know. She doesn't have Cyclones. I'm a little concerned.
That's why she's not S.
Kidding.
Yeah.
That's why she's not S tier. Yeah, I think Zagara will have a bit of trouble pushing. Like, she won't necessarily get overwhelmed. She will push through. It's just going to take her a little bit longer than Zagara normally does. I think her P2 is a viable option. It's not necessarily her best, but this week it does give her an opportunity to use those constructs more easily. What I would say for Zagara specifically is when she's trying to push into the buildings. Yeah, when she's trying to push into the buildings, that's where she'll just start feeling the photon overload, things like that, just because it does just add up to her, or it does put an impact rather on her supply. I'm comfortable with B, and I had it between B and C, but yeah, B tier does seem to make sense for her.
What do you think about B tier, Ebenholm?
Well, I said it first, so I agree.
Yeah.
I was just hoping that anyway.
He agrees with himself. That's good.
He agrees with himself.
I've been trying to
Even
think of a
though
way for her to get Cyclones, but I just can't come up
If we
with
put her
any.
in C tier, C could stand for Cyclones, and then, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, but B stands for bio launchers mentioned. So
Hey.
Bio launchers are good against speed freaks. They're not going to run past it. They're fine.
They actually can run faster than the vials. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's fun.
Anyway, I guess Zagara goes in B tier. What do you think about B tier, PJ?
Yep, I'm good with that.
what do you think about B tier, CTG?
B tier. No, she doesn't have Cyclones.
C
Fair enough.
C for Cyclone, C for CTG. It's good. It's meant to be.
Moving on. Zeratul. Where do we have him?
Yeah. So Zeratul, I think, is one that will be easy to justify as an S tier, at least in my view. He has everything.
I don't know. He doesn't have Cyclones.
Although he doesn't have Cyclones, he does have his cannons, which again, mobility. It gives him everything. It gives him mobility. It lets him all this week. You have Zeratul himself that can very easily clear and push. He has a strong army that's easy to max out on. So even if you do need them by the transport, like you can have them defend. If you just want Zeratul to go push and clear things really fast with your turret warps, you can push with those, you can defend with those. He just has a tool for everything, and it's a strong kit for everything
That's
as
why
well.
it's Zeratul.
So for me, yeah, Z for Zeratul. So no cyclones though. So
No
S plus.
cyclones. Yeah. I'm so messed up. I meant to. I was about to cough, and I meant to mute myself. Instead, I paused the recording. Oops! Let me resume that right away. And then I went to mute myself again, and instead I muted you. I'm a mess. I'm in so much of a mess. That's why I said I'm only fine this week. Anyway, what do you think about S tier at home?
E tier. Zeratul is he's pretty good. The only concern I have with the cannons is you do need to be a little economical, so just, don't spam them all out. Make sure you're using them in waves so you have enough to make it through the terminal. And beyond that, it should be pretty easy. So I had him in S tier.
S tier, okay. Do we have a double S this week?
Cyclones.
Cyclones.
Yeah, Swann with Cyclones, I think.
Okay, editor, here's what you do. Let me mark this on the video. 50-40. Here's what you do, editor. Add cyclones to double S tier. Just put a picture of a cyclone on double S tier. And then cut when I say resume. Resume. Alright, now with the power of movie magic, we have cyclones in double S tier. Who's top of S tier?
I know this is going to be controversial, but I'm going back to Dehaka. He was way easier than even Tychus for me. It was extremely simple and straightforward.
Okay.
I see Dehaka as strong. I personally had Stetmann as top, but I could see Dehaka and him being like top 2. So I'm not gonna fuss over who's in front of who, but I do see Stetmann as another super strong one this week.
Okay. Who's third?
Yeah, I agree with that. I would go Tychus in third, and then I had Nova in fourth.
I was actually gonna put Zeratul personally in third, because in terms of ease of use, but I'm flexible with Tychus as well because I think those two are interchangeable. I would put them both above Nova though.
That's fine. I think Zeratul, then Nova, then Arcturus, I guess.
Zeratul, Nova, Arcturus. Like that?
Yeah,
like that.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Alright, who's top of A tier?
Abathur.
Abathur. Makes sense. A is for Abathur. A is also
A
for
for
Alarak.
Yeah, I think Alarak is
who
probably...
I coincidentally you put second as well.
Yeah. And then A also stands for Arax.
Yeah, Karax and Kerrigan, and then...
I thought we agreed that Kerrigan is bottom of A. Is Stukov on bottom of A?
I think
I was gonna put Stukov bottom of A. Kind of the way it is right now is actually how I see it.
Okay. Then we'll stick with
I
this.
would have Stukov above Kerrigan, but we can... It's fine either way.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be sleeping.
They're about on level with each other, I think.
Okay. Who's top of B tier?
Who has Cyclones?
Oh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, actually, legitimately, I think it is Swann, and then...
Yeah.
Legitimately.
Yeah, I think this is good how it is.
All right.
I think it's all good how it is.
Yeah, I would go just like that, actually. Phoenix over Zagara.
And I
How
think
about...
C tier is good as well.
Okay. And then Artanis D tier, Raynor. For the second time in a row. In the last tier, he was also E tier. My Donnie. Can't catch a break. Yeah. Poor Raynor. How do you buff Raynor so that he does at least B tier for this one?
I think if we're thinking of Activision, it's probably going to be microtransactions, but let's not encourage that. But I think for Raynor, he really just needs a buff to his units or something just to buff him a little bit.
I previously recommended that the Hyperion be a buyable unit, a buyable permanent unit like the Mothership, so you can have it permanently on the field. Well, that fixes problems.
I think if he did that as like a prestige, similar to Alarak, I think it's something that could work, like have his Hyperion out there. I think that would be great. Like if you had a Merc compound, for example, and you can just buy all these strong units, that would just solve a lot.
So he becomes Tychus. sort of. Oh, more like Nova actually.
With
More like Nova.
Yeah, more like Nova.
kind of,
I-
yeah. I was thinking about, yeah.
One random idea I just had: make P1's downside different, so you have mules and double life. Just like maybe you can't build the starport
Or no
in the
top no
factory
top
with
bars.
P1 or something like that. No
You have
top
double
bars,
mule.
something
You,
like
you
that.
have mules and batteries,
You have
but no
mules
top bars.
and double health. Yeah, but no top bars. Or
That
like
could
you can't build
work.
your starport or something like that. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually more interesting. If only we had a way to actually still put changes into the game. Oh well. Alright guys, that is the tier list for this week. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for what else to do, please leave it in a comment. I will see you guys next time.